We are now less than 48 hours away. Cleveland Browns, Houston Texans, first playoff game of the 2023 NFL season. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. And if you are not part of the Locked On Browns everyday crowd by now, come on, what are you doing? Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. We are a little bit less than 48 hours away. Practice has been done. Browns are getting ready to travel to Houston, obviously with a Saturday game, a 4:30 start. The whole travel schedule is a little bit different than it would be for any normal game week, of course, but it's just not any other game week because it is playoff game week. Injury news to this point for the Cleveland Browns. Grant Delpit yesterday did come into the window of practicing after being on IR. Unfortunately, Grant Delpit, not there yet. Obviously, the hopes are, I don't want to say it, don't want to jinx anything. So Grant Delpit will unfortunately be a no-go Saturday in Houston. Special teams ace Mike Ford, questionable. As we know, Dustin Hopkins will not be kicking. He will be out. Riley Patterson will be brought up from the practice squad to be the Browns kicker on Saturday. Pierre Strong, questionable for Saturday. Juan Thornhill, questionable as well. Unfortunately, rookie Cedric Tillman will not be a part of his first NFL playoff game. He is still in the protocol, and Cedric Tillman will be out for Saturday in Houston. And I don't know what's going on in Browns practices. I really don't. But yet another player, unfortunately, sustains an injury. Denzel Ward, don't know what it is. They say it's a knee. Obviously, the extent of it, we don't know. Everybody say Denzel Ward's going to be okay. My guess, and this is just coming from what we're told, Denzel said, whatever even happened, ooh, my knee. And that was enough for everybody to say, get out of here. Nope, you're not doing anything more, this, that, or the other thing. The belief, and everybody says he's going to be okay, he's going to be fine. But, if he did not finish practice on the last practice day of the week, therefore, you have to give an injury designation on him. Browns put questionable on him. We'll see. Obviously, something to monitor over the next less than 48 hours. Denzel Ward, something with a knee, but the word is okay and fine to go. The injury report for your Houston Texans. Veteran defensive end Jerry Hughes has not practiced all week. Jerry Hughes will be out for this game on Saturday. All other players will carry a questionable tag. Rookie edge rusher Will Anderson, fullback Andrew Beck, wide receiver Noah Brown, Malik Collins, Jonathan Grenard back to the field. I think the questionable label is going to get Jonathan Grenard on there. Look, you kind of got to view this as last game of the season, So if you think you can go in any way, shape, or form, you're going to be out there. Defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, limited the last 2 days, questionable as well. Wide receiver Robert Woods, limited the last 2 days as well, questionable as well. That is your injury report for the Houston Texans. Having Grant Delpit would have been great, certainly, no doubt about it. But, this has always been the Cleveland Browns approach. They try to be as careful as they can with their players, whether you like it or not. And, they're not going to push guys and put them into situations for possible further injury. But, to be serious and to be real, if you get Juan Thornhill back, Ronnie Hickman has been performing lights out since finally getting opportunity to see playing time. He has been an absolute just revelation. Undrafted free agent, as we all know, which I even said at the time seems very, very odd when we were talking about a player out of the Ohio State University. Ronnie Hickman, it's not even what you hope for. You get a UDFA And, you can kind of equate it to DeAnthony Bell, I would say a little bit as well. These guys make a roster. They play some special teams for you. I mean, you consider that a win. You consider that a pretty solid victory if you're a front office. The fact that the Browns are now playing second-year undrafted free agent DeAnthony Bell and rookie safety Ronnie Hickman, and these guys are playing meaningful reps and contributing. Ronnie Hickman, obviously, with a big pick six interception against the New York Jets in Week 17 to seal the Browns' playoff berth. DeAnthony Bell, 2 interceptions to this point. DeAnthony Bell is all over the field making plays. Really, really good in the box safety. You see the transition and him able to translate the skills that make him a successful special teams player into succeeding in playing the role the Browns are having him play. Duron Harmon. The stage will certainly not be too big for Duron Harmon, a gentleman with 3 Super Bowl rings while playing for Bill Belichick. And, it's not the time to do this now, obviously, but, over the last 24 hours, Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, all either maybe done or moving on from places where they've been. Just a crazy, crazy couple hours. I mean, crazy 24 hours for some of the more prominent coaches, college football, NFL football, of course. Just insane. You got between the 3 of them, about 230 something years of age between these gentlemen. These guys are all football lifers. Best of luck to each and every one of them, of course. You continue on here, looking at this. Cedric Tillman, look, I mean, and there's been times, and anybody's giving Cedric Tillman a hard time. I have a very serious issue with that. As a rookie wide receiver, to have to play with 5 different quarterbacks in one season, it really, really, dwarfs the growth path. I think Cedric Tillman has actually done a pretty good job regardless. I think one area where it's been undervalued has been his blocking ability. I think that is something the Browns will miss Saturday in Houston. Cedric certainly had, been picking up the pace as far as being a willing and thorough and a tenacious blocker. That is something the Cleveland Browns could miss on Saturday in Houston. So obviously a difficult spot for him there. Doesn't hurt, however, though, that David Bell is coming off the best NFL performance of his career, one of the few who were a positive light in Week 18. So, David Bell, obviously probably an opportunity to see some more advanced playing time on Saturday when the Browns go to 3 wide receiver sets. Marquise Goodwin could be a part, but David Bell, hopefully riding the hot hand right now, will give David that opportunity. We'll know more about 3 o'clock on Saturday when we get our inactives about who's in, who's out. As far as the practice squad, we know Riley Patterson's coming to this point. If Pierre Strong isn't able, only other running back he got is John Kelly on the practice squad. So you would see if maybe there was an elevation from John Kelly if Pierre Strong's back is not ready to go Saturday. We're going to switch it up here. We're going to get a little bit into the last meeting between the Browns and the Texans. Your latest Locked On Browns continues, and I appreciate all of you for being along for the ride. My wife, my girls, they love live music. There's great places where we live, outside venues, spring, summer. They go see a lot of shows. Only problem is with so many hectic schedules, it's really difficult for us to confirm and buy ahead of time. So we are definitely last minute ticket purchasers. So you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to the next big event. You can use Gametime. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Their all-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in seconds, 2 taps, you are in. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The zone deals, you get to pick the section, and Gametime picks the seats for big-time savings. And the Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Jeff Royd rolling along here. Your latest Locked On Browns, 48 hours less than. Browns kicking off the 2023 NFL playoffs starting. There is a sneeze coming at some point, guys. I'm going to do my best to hopefully hold that off here. Now, you back to Christmas Eve. Browns traveled to Houston. Still remember that day vividly. A lot going on. Had to go see family, and Browns could use a laugher today, man. This would make things a lot easier for me. Browns delivered in fine fashion that afternoon. Joe Flacco, 27 of 42, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. If you remember, there were some drives where the Browns just kept the offense out there. This was, of course, after Dustin Hopkins, had the hamstring injury trying to chase down Damon Pierce on the kickoff return for a touchdown. So the Browns kind of let some drives go because they couldn't kick field goals, even though David Njoku was telling Coach how strong he was and ready to do so. So a couple of those interceptions were forced, fourth down plays, where they were just trying to, keep a drive alive because they weren't able to kick field goals. So, the interceptions, not so much an issue that day. It got going early right away. Obviously, as we all first play the game, play action, deep, over. Jamie Ward, Amari Cooper, 53 yards, and then all of a sudden the onslaught was on from there, as we all know. It was a big day that week also. David Njoku had 6 catches, 44 yards. If you all remember, Chief had a big touchdown that week. Amari Cooper contributed with 2 touchdowns. So that first reception that was 53 yards, that didn't go to the house. You got to remember, Amari Cooper scored 2 from there on. And I also do believe there was a 2-point conversion in there as well for Amari. They got rushing touchdowns that day from Kareem Hunt. They got a rushing touchdown on the first drive of the game from Jerome Ford. However, they ran the ball poorly, 1.8 yards per carry. Now, this is something that could really, really be beneficial to the Browns in this second matchup. As we know, last meaningful game for the Cleveland Browns, Week 17, Thursday Night Football against the New York Jets, we saw a solid return of the run game that night. And now it is going to be, 14 days, 16th day from when Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick, Joe Bitonio all last played a game by the time this game starts Saturday in Houston. So 16 days of rest for one of the better interior offensive line groups in the entire NFL. Had a really, really good showing in that Jet game. Were able to, get the run game going again, even though Joe threw for 3 bills. They were still able to run the ball. They were able to actually, use it, kind of, I don't want to say commit, but maybe date kind of the run game. But this could be something that could be a big advantage, for the Browns here this second time around. You think about, the potential and the big playability of what CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans offense can give. First play, right? Nico Collins, Saturday night against Colts, boom, down the field, 75 yards, bum, bum, bum. You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of on from there. In this situation, I'm not saying the Browns are scared of CJ Stroud. I'm not saying the Browns aren't confident in their own defense, but he ain't scoring from the sidelines. That's just not going to happen. So if the Browns can get this nice mix of throw and run, and then you start to put together 9-play drives, 10-play drives, 11-play drives, and CJ Stroud becomes more spectator than participant. Simple ABCs. It's just kind of things you do. Again, and like we've talked about over the past few weeks, you're going to try to run the ball, but you're not going to beat your head if it's not going to work. If it's not going to work, then your best option certainly is Joe Flacco, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Elijah Moore. You can win the game with just that. We've already seen him do it once. We've seen him do it the better part of a month now, for that being the recipe to win ball games. But if you can get it, and again, I'm not sure how it's going to work, because if Pierre Strong can't go, and I'm not sure what the overall confidence level is. I like Pierre Strong's skill set, but if he's unable to go, do you bring John Kelly up? Do you even try to involve John Kelly in the offense? Look, he's been here forever. Granted, a practice squad guy, but John Kelly has been around this team forever. I think the only meaningful game time reps John Kelly ever got was the Thursday night game against the Denver Broncos, which was right after Baker, got decimated by the Cardinals. And, it was the Thursday night game and they were really, really light on guys. John Kelly played a little bit in that game. That game, of course, went on to be known, of course, as the Dearness Johnson game, of course, but John Kelly did play a factor in that game that night. So, those are things you can look to incorporate. Harrison Bryant, it's been weird. There's times where Harrison Bryant, they try to find him, they try to feature him. There's times where it hasn't been. That first game, of course, against, pardon me, first game was one reception for Harrison Bryant, but there's obviously been a 2-touchdown game for Harrison Bryant this year. And again, with no Cedric Tillman, I keep looking, and you try to find a positive from week 18, understanding the Browns, obviously just wrote the game off as a total loss and, rightfully so. But the Bengals were trying. The Bengals first team defensive players were out there. The Bengals first team secondary players were out there. And David Bell went out there and had himself a day. You feel good like a kid about David Bell. And now it's, hey, and you guys know, everydayers know, I've talked about this before. The biggest thing with young players, and, some guys never get the shot. It's just the way it works. But there's always that doubting for a young player. It's, man, I did so well in college. I was in a high school All-American, all of these other things. And then you got to get that first taste of success. And you kind of see it working really well right now for Alex Wright. 4 straight games in a row now with Alex Wright for a sack. So for David Bell, it's that, hey, that Jags play, the way it worked out. Yeah, granted, it was a 41-yard touchdown. Definitely, great job by Flacco, poor job by the Jaguars defense. But, these were 2 contested touchdown catches, 2 defensive backs in the area last Sunday in Cincinnati. And David Bell comes out on the right side with touchdowns on both of those. David Bell, nobody ever wants to see a teammate go down in any way whatsoever. But, David Bell is saying, Coach, Joe, I'm here, man. You need me. I got you. I will be there. I guess we will talk about this, but again, this is, absolute break glass. Jeff Driscoll will be the Cleveland Browns' second string quarterback Saturday. And this is something I had talked about when the Browns said they were going to play Jeff Driscoll in week 18. Was this just playing out the string, or was there a legitimate chance that Jeff Driscoll could out-seat PJ Walker to be the backup quarterback? God forbid any backup quarterback has to play for the Browns in the playoffs. And obviously this is a decision the Cleveland Browns have gone with. I thought he played tougher in the second half. I thought he was smart about trying to use his legs. But here's some things that could be a little bit differently from the Cleveland Browns and the offensive side of the ball here, certainly as we get ready to kick this off Saturday in Houston. We'll be back segment 3. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. Don't want to go anywhere. I know we all come here. We want to talk sports, listen to sports, to escape from some of the crazy realities of real life. But can we talk just a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the dead of winter. You're talking bronchitis, you're talking strep throat. It's scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if myself, my wife, my girls got sick. Well, a supply chain issue kept them from the life-saving medication they needed. Thankfully, we'll be okay because of Jase Medical. The Jase case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. Visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jasemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Jeff Lloyd, we are closing out. We will get you one more episode. You guys know the drill. I cannot give you a full pregame show. And with information the way it works, there will be a full Locked On Browns pregame show that you guys will have up tomorrow and plenty of time to get to it before kickoff on Saturday. I appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. If you were not part of the everyday crowd by now, we'll make a new plan. Stand, subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And the show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Obviously, defensively, this is a big time difference for the Browns here. Had 3 sacks in the first game. Zadarius Smith, 2 of them. Of course, Alex Wright with a sack. Duron Harmon with an interception that day. Jeremiah Usu-Koromoa, an interception that day. The Browns had 12 passes defense that day. 12. A dozen passes defense that day. 5 tackles for loss. Your star players that way, obviously, Sione Takitaki, 6 solo tackles. DeAnthony Bell, 6 solo tackles. JOK, 5 solo tackles that day. But obviously, it's a bigger, better animal at quarterback Saturday for the Houston Texans than the Davis Mills, Case Keenum duo, if you even want to call it that. CJ Stroud is put together one of the better rookie years from a quarterback ever. One of the better years from a rookie quarterback ever. There are things, he struggles with at times. It may not necessarily be on him, cover 1, which is 1 safety over the top, obviously applying help, man coverage everywhere else. That's not all on CJ Stroud. Guys just have to get open. You have to beat man coverage to be good in the NFL. A lot of talk of, CJ Stroud, he's really good against zone coverage. That's fantastic, CJ Stroud. It really is. And it's pretty impressive for a rookie quarterback. It's probably not going to mean a hell of beans, though, on Saturday, because Jim Schwartz is going to play man. He is going to play cover 0, or he's going to play cover 1. And he is going to apply as much pressure as he possibly can to a rookie quarterback, whether it's CJ Stroud or, some random first-time rookie quarterback from, East Appalachian State Tech University. Jim Schwartz is going to make you have to prove to him that what he usually uses will not work. It's just the way Jim Schwartz is wired. And you want to know what? You stack enough W's together, you don't necessarily have to change the way you do things. And that is certainly something you get from Jim Schwartz. Nico Collins, certainly an issue. My guess and my belief is, Martin Emerson and Nico Collins are probably going to be pretty chummy on Saturday. I think that would be the ideal matchup for the Browns. The size matches up well. It allows Greg Newsome, it allows Denzel Ward to run around, obviously, after everybody else. The Texans that day did run a little bit, but how much commitment was there from the Browns that day to stop the run when they had a big lead early? Texans haven't ran the ball lately well. They have not stopped the run lately either. You look at the other players. Noah Brown was 3 for 38. The tight end Brevin Jordan was 2 for 27. Schultz was 8 for 61. I do like that Schultz Jordan combination. But that is where DeAnthony Bell is going to come in. That is where JOK is going to come in. That is certainly where Duron Harmon is going to come in. Sione Takitaki is going to come in. Certainly where Grant Delpit would have been a part as well. But I trust the Browns secondary in coverage, and there's no reason, you look at Jim Schwartz and the phrase that, it's been around forever. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if you're going to win with your theory more often than you lose, and to the point of 11-5, you do what you do. You don't adapt because, just for the sake of adapting. I'm sure there's some blitz packages, and you got to keep in mind the defense probably went pretty vanilla. Once the victory, once the point margin became as great as it did for the Browns that day, there's going to be things CJ Stroud hasn't seen. I'm sure CJ Stroud has gone through every drop of footage of Browns defense he has this year. He can possibly get his hands on, but Jim Schwartz is certainly not a guy who empties the clip at any time. He is a guy that is constantly changing, constantly trying to throw some new things in there. So there will be a lot coming the way of CJ Stroud on Saturday. I am, again, looking forward to it. I think my confidence level is starting to grow a little bit towards the Cleveland Browns and their possibilities here this Saturday in Houston as the week goes on. Who we kidding, guys? It always happens that way, doesn't it? Wink, wink, the everydayers know. But like I said, we're going to get back at it tomorrow. I will get you a full pregame show. There is no way we're not going to get you one more episode out before we get to a playoff game here. Browns Texans in Houston Saturday at 4:30. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd. It is now my 7th season with you all covering Locked On Browns for the Locked On Podcast Network. Absolutely elated to be here. I'll be here another 7 to 17 if they'll let me, the good Lord willing. I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. Again, if you're not part of the everyday crowd, simple, easy, subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel and use in the club. Show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.